Brian Dutcher, the basketball coach at San Diego State today, the announcement, signs a contract extension. Well, he's only been on the job for a year. Let me find out more about this. Here is Coach Brian Dutcher on Scott and BR on the Mighty 1090. Hi, Coach.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me back.
Coach, thank you for being available. First of all, I haven't seen you at the track. Will you make it out this summer?
I got out there one time, had a wonderful time. So it was. I don't think I did very well other than enjoying the day.
You did not do well with your picks.
With my family's picks. I wasn't picking any, but my wife and daughters were picking a few, and they didn't do very well.
And how do they handicap? Do they pick jockeys? Do they pick colors? Do they have a system?
Well, Scott, it's like anywhere else, any thing you go to, there's an expert everywhere, and we had a couple of experts helping us, and they weren't very expertise that day.
Yeah, here's the key, Coach. Nobody knows anything. Your daughter has as good a chance as just picking out a horse by the name as the experts do by looking at the numbers.
I would agree with that.
All right. Coach Brian Dutcher on Scott and BR on the Mighty 1090. So, Coach, this contract extension, when you first got the head coaching job, how long was your contract for?
They did a 5-year deal with me.
Okay, so 2018 through 22?
Yep, somewhere in that range.
And
Last year was the first year, 17, 18.
Yeah.
So 5 years from that point.
Okay, and then what was this extension today? For how long? For how many more years?
Basically rolling over another year, just rolling it over a year, like starting it anew this year, a 5-year deal. And that happens sometimes, Scott. If you do a good job, you have a good year, and they think that you're deserving of that rollover year. They basically rolled it over 1 year.
Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should go talk to Von Glickenhaus about that here at the Mighty 1090.
I know you. No one gets a better deal than you, Scott. You're the master negotiator.
No, I'm not so good.
Not so good?
I mean, I'm all right. I don't know. Do you negotiate on your own? You got an agent?
On my own.
You do the whole thing yourself?
I have, I kind of had in mind what I thought was reasonable when I did it, and obviously I have an agent that looks things over, but I didn't have him negotiate for me at all. I kind of just went off what Coach Fisher, what his contract was like, and what the other guys in the conference contracts were kind of like. They're all pretty generic, and it's just length of term and then buyout and things like that. And, I have a lot of trust in J.D. Wicker and Tom McCarron across campus from the business side, negotiating it, and I felt real comfortable just working with them directly.
Talking to Coach Brian Dutcher at San Diego State. Coach, I'm so glad we're having this conversation because it's interesting to hear about your side of the business, of your business. When Coach Fisher retired, I always recall looking at the other coaches around the conference and saying, why is Coach Fisher so underpaid compared to all these other guys? And so do you, when you get a contract extension, do you say, okay, look, we had a nice year. On that 5th year, I want to be paid like these other guys in the conference, not like what Coach Fisher was being paid here at San Diego State.
They've taken real good care of me with the contract, Scott. Every year it goes up $50,000 for wherever it started. And so, I never got into the business for the money, but obviously, as you know, when you do a good job and the going rate for what they're paying coaches around the country, you just try to find somewhere along that scale where you fit. And obviously they didn't start me where Coach Fisher finished with the work he had done over his career and what he was worth at the university. I knew I wouldn't start at that scale, but I was just so grateful to have the job and making the kind of living I'm making doing what I love that I wasn't over concerned about it.
Yeah, that's kind of the interesting part about it. When Coach Fisher retires and he takes off, I understand exactly what you're saying. Like, hey, he was Coach Fisher and that's what he made, and maybe I'm going to make a little bit less, but I've got the head job. And then, again, when you get an extension, can you make some more money on the back end that you will have deserved if you've made it that far, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, this is the job I've always wanted. Some people take jobs and look at them as stepping stone jobs. And this is no stepping stone job. This is the job I've wanted since I came here all those years ago. And so I'm love the way the university treats me, the administration, and this is going to be year 20 on campus for me, Scott. So it's been a great stay. I love it here. I love all the people I work with, and I think we've done a good job, mostly Coach Fisher, obviously with some of my assistants, building San Diego State into a pretty good basketball program.
Yeah, more than a pretty good basketball program. We're talking to Coach Brian Dutcher. He is the head coach of the San Diego State basketball team. He gets a contract extension today. They won the Mountain West Conference in his first year. Hey, Coach, Jalen McDaniels returning. We haven't really had a chance to talk about that. You know, he went out and he tested the waters to see if he should be turning pro. He's decided to come back. How's things going?
He looks really good. We had the whole team here for the second session summer school, which went 6 weeks and it ended last Thursday. And so I had the entire team here, including Jalen, and Jalen looked very good. Obviously, that working out for those pro teams took a lot out of him. That's a lot of hard work and travel, and he got down to 181 pounds, which was way too light at 6'9". We've got him back up to 195, heading toward 200 hopefully, and going to have a great year for us.
Yeah, and I don't know if you heard or not, but I've been talking about the last couple of days. I had a Kawhi run-in at the racetrack this past Sunday.
Yeah, he was up in the box with Matt Soria,
yes.
our ops.
Has Kawhi been around the facility and helping these young guys and working out with them?
You know, Kawhi's, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's been up at the Jam Center almost every day during the week. And when he comes in, Scott, it's like when you're on air, you know, a friend of yours stopping by and wanting to talk to you as you're doing your show. It just doesn't work. And so Kawhi's in there doing his work, and so we don't really bother him. We can sit on the side and watch, but that's his office, that's his work, and he goes hard. So we peek in, we watch, but we don't bother him. We don't ask him, you know, how do you feel about Toronto? How's your health? You know, this is kind of a safe haven for him where he can come in, get in the gym with his trainers and get his work done and not be bothered. And we like it that way, and I know he does.
Yeah, you know what's so funny about that? So he's comes to the racetrack, and I see Matt Soria. Matt says, "Hey, I've got Kawhi, and I want to take him through the back." I go, "Hey, bring him in here. We'll he can chill here for a little bit until these guys come to get him." So Kawhi sits down, and we're just kind of having some small talk, he and I, mostly me. And then my son came walking in. I said, "Hey, Justin, this is Kawhi." And my son grew up, you know, right there in those seats right behind the bench, and was like, "Oh, my God, Kawhi." And Kawhi was happy. He smiled a little bit. And my son went just like this. He goes, "Hey, Kawhi." And Kawhi's guy who was with him said, "No pictures." You could just hear the next part of it was, "Hey, Kawhi, can I take a picture?" No pictures. He stopped him right there at "Hey, Kawhi, Coach."
That's just him, you know, and that's why I know a shot came online yesterday with him with Durant and LeBron at a workout in L.A.
Yeah.
Trust me, he did not volunteer for that. We don't take any shots of him in the Jam Center. I think the last post he did on Twitter, which was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, was with Matt Soria, me, and him in the Jam Center. He's not a social media guy. He's just all work, all business, and he's a very nice young man. He's just not wanting to be engaged all the time. I think the fame is great. The finances are great. He makes a lot of money doing what he does, but left to himself, he'd rather just play basketball and not have to deal with all the other stuff.
Tell you what, though, he is a man. I mean, we remember him when he was a 19-year-old kid. He has got the body of a man now. I mean, he looks like, wow, I'd love to see what him and LeBron, you know, that picture you're talking about, I've seen it. But look at those guys side by side. I mean, he is a man, a grown-ass man.
Yeah, the funny thing with the picture is the basketball looks like a tennis ball in his hand. His hands are so big.
Yeah.
And his shoulders. And, you know, to be special, you have to have physical gifts, and he's been given physical gifts. He's got length, big shoulders, big hands, and he's taken advantage of his talents through hard work. You don't just get to where you're going through talent alone. You have to work hard, and Kawhi's as hard a worker as we've ever had in the program.
So even though you guys leave him alone, do none of the San Diego State players, can none of them go in there and get in on this?
Yeah, they can go in and watch. They don't work out with him. You know, he's got his routine. He has in mind what he wants to do at that time. He usually has a trainer, a rebounder. I know last week he had Jeremy Castleberry, obviously, is with him all the time. Jeremy got a job with the Raptors. They had another trainer from the Raptors in town with him. And then Jeff, his lifelong friend that trains him also, 3 of them in the gym with him,
yeah, Jeff
getting him shots, putting him through the paces. So he's not in need of any extra help. Maybe we provide a rebounder from time to time. But when he goes in there, he is wringing wet. He is working. He knows what he wants to work on, how long he wants to work on it, and he's very focused.
Amazing. That is so cool to hear that Kawhi comes home and still uses the facilities. Well, Coach Dutcher, congratulations on the contract extension. Well-deserved, and great to catch up with you this afternoon. Appreciate you, Coach.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you too.
Thank you, buddy. All right. There you go, Coach Dutcher. Contract extension. Good for him.